Dear student, welcome to this class on merchandising and export management. And in this class, I am going to discuss two important topics of export management. One is the importance of export, and second one is the risk involved in the export marketing. So I am starting with importance of export. So let us see. Now, the importance of export can be discussed from three different perspectives. First one is the from national economic point of view. Second one is the from individual farm point of view, and third one is other point of view. Now, here from national economic point of view, we will discuss how a nation will be benefited from export, and in this from individual farm viewpoint, here we will discuss how a farm is benefited from export, and this is basically the miscellaneous. There are other benefits of export that I'm going to discuss under this head. So let us start first how a national economy is benefited from export. So first one is the earning foreign exchange. Export brings valuable foreign exchange to the exporting country, which is mainly required to pay for import of capital goods, raw materials, spare parts, accessories, components, as well as importing advanced technical knowledge. See, for our own country's development, we need capital goods like machineries, we need raw materials, spare parts, and accessories, and sometimes we may have to import this from other countries. Okay, so for import we need foreign exchange, and this foreign exchange we can earn easily from export. So in this case also we have seen that to earn the foreign exchange is important for economic development. Second is solving the problem of balance of payment. Large scale export causes increase in the foreign reserve and enable the countries to have favorable balance of payment. Now, balance of payment is basically an economic term. It describes the economic conditions of the country, and it helps taking decision as regarding the uh, international business. Okay. Now, by means of export, we can earn foreign reserve and foreign exchange, and this will improve the situation of balance of payment. Third one is the employment opportunities. Export trade calls for more production. More production opens the door for more employment opportunity, not in the export sector, but also in allied sectors like banking, insurance, transport, etc. See, what I mean to say here is that if we produce more and if we export, then that is the employment opportunity not only in the export sector, but there are other sectors also like banking sector, insurance sector, transport sector. So these sectors will also open up, and there is a large employment opportunities. Next is the promoting economic development. Exports are needed for the promoting economic and industrial development. The business grow rapidly if it has access to the international market. Next is for profitable use of natural resources. There can be optimum use of natural resources. For example, the supply of minerals and the agricultural product in excess of internal demand enable the country to earn foreign exchange. See, we know that our country is full of natural resources. It may be minerals, it may be forestry, it may be agricultural products. So after meeting the internal demand, if we export our natural resources, we can earn foreign exchange. As for example, in India, there is plenty of mica, which is used in electrical industries as a dielectric. Now, after meeting our requirement, we can export mica to other countries. Similarly, India is producing huge quantity of the teas, and this tea is very much famous in the countries like Britain. So we also export tea to Britain and you can earn foreign exchange. That means what I mean to say here is that after meeting our internal demand, if we export our natural resources, we can earn foreign exchange. Next, to face the competition successfully for the quality and the productivity, an export firm has to maintain and improve the standards in quality in order to meet the international standards. As a result, the consumers in the home market as well as the international market can enjoy better quality of the goods. Research, training, and experience in the dealing with the foreign markets enable the exporters to improve the overall organizational efficiency. See, this is very important. What I mean to say is here that in international market, competition is no more restricted to the domestic players only, because if organization which is exporting, apart from the domestic competitors, they have to compete with the international competitors also. Now, in order to compete with the international organizations, they have to develop their own capabilities by means of research, training, whatever it is. Now, as a result, what will happen? They will improve their skill, okay, and they can improve their organization efficiency. So as a result, the country is also benefited for the skill development in the skill development of the individual organization. Now let us see how an individual firm is benefited from export. The first is benefit of bulk selling. Export orders are much bigger as compared that in the domestic marketing. Thus, the firm enters in the export business to take the benefits of selling in the bulk quantities. It also helps in foreign exchange in large amount. Now, remember that domestic market, maybe exporter has maybe an organization need to produce in small quantity, but most of the cases export orders are in very big quantities. Okay, so by selling in the bulk quantity they can make more profit and also they can earn more foreign exchange for our country. Next is to utilize installed capacity. The level of domestic demand may be insufficient for utilizing the installed production capacity. Here the company enters in the export marketing so that available production capacity could be fully utilized. So let us take an example. Suppose a spinning mill, it has 1 lakh spindle capacity, but because of the insufficient domestic demand, organization has to run only the 80,000 spindle. So rest 20,000 spindle, it had to keep under non-functioning condition. Okay. Now, if the organization get export orders, then organization can run the other 20,000 spindles, okay, which otherwise would be remain idle. That means here what I mean to say is that full capacity utilization is possible by means of export marketing. That means what I mean to say here, after meeting the domestic demand, if the exporter has the capacity of the production more, then they can sell the excess capacity in the international market. Next is that to earn more profit. Export enables the business organization to earn higher profits for goods. If the exporters offer quality products, they can charge higher prices than those charged in the home markets and thereby raise the profit margin. See, you can take the example that in the export, quality requirement is very high, and for high quality products, exporter can charge very high prices. And if they can charge high prices, their profitability will be more. Okay, that means by means of export, the organization can earn more profit. Next is the spreading the risk. A firm engaged in the domestic as well as the export market can spread its marketing risk. The loss in one part, that is in one area of marketing, can be compensated by the profit earned in the other area. That means what I mean to say that in the international market also, an exporter can supply the goods to a number of countries. That means if there is a fall in demand of the product in one country, the exporter can increase the selling to the other countries where there may be demand. That means what I mean to say here is that by increasing the increasing participation in the international business, an exporter can spread the risk of its business. Next, scope of marketing the obsolete product. Exporter may export the products to other less developed countries which are of no demand in their country because of the obsolescence. Now, this is especially true when a developed country exporting a developed country supplying the product to the underdeveloped countries or developing countries. Suppose an organization, they are manufacturing machineries, and these machineries become obsolete because of the technical and some other reason. Now, this particular product, these particular machines may not have any importance, may not have any demand in the exporter's country. But exporters can send this product to the other less developed countries. As for example, this is very true for the uh, in the business of machineries, capital goods, or especially you can say the arms. As for example, arms and ammunition. As for example, Russia has developed the Scud missiles and they have supplied it to the Iraq. And these Scud missiles are very obsolete in Russia and other markets, but they have supplied it to Iraq, and these Scud missiles were subsequently utilized, was used in the year 1990-91 during the war between the USA and Iraq. So what I mean to say here that the exporter can sell the obsolete product to other countries. Obsolete product means this product is become obsolete in his own country, but and hence there is no demand. But this product may have demand in the other countries, other less developed countries. Now, diversification of the business risk. Geographical diversification facilitates distribution of business risk among the different export market. Even the risk in internal market can be reduced by the undertaking export marketing. So this is the same point that I have discussed earlier. Now, sales and the production stability. Now, export marketing can enable a firm to maintain sales and the production stability, especially in the case of the seasonal product when demand of the product falls drastically in the home country. Sometimes exporter may engage in the production of the goods which is seasonal. That means the goods has got demand during a particular season, and other season the goods may not have any demand. Now, if the exporter they can export the goods to the other country, then they can maintain the stability in the production. Okay, that means when their product, that means when there is no demand of the product because of the off season, that can be compensated by exporting it to the other countries. Next is the government policies. Government policies and regulations may also encourage the companies for the international marketing. Some companies export and invest in the foreign countries to avail the economic incentive benefits provided by the government. Now, this is very important. As I have already told you that because of the export, both our government as well as the exporter are benefited. But risk has to be taken by the government. The risk has to be taken by the exporter. Now, under this situation, in order to encourage the exporter to export more and more, the government formulates certain policies and government gives certain incentives to the exporters in terms of financial assistance or non-financial assistance. Now, export this assistance is given only those organizations who are exporting the goods. Okay, so in order to avail these facilities, so many organizations they are involved in export. Okay, so these are the importance of the export market from the individual from point of view. Now, Export marketing has got other benefits also. First is the international collaboration. Second one is the international business brings various countries closer, helps in maintaining good political relations. Very recently, you can see one thing, that is India has exported hydroxychloroquine to America, and because of this, uh, America and India, they have become very close with each other. That means what I mean to say is that by means of exporter or importer, they may come close with each other, and they can collaborate in other fields also. There may be exchange of cultural views, there may be exchange of other areas also, and this will strengthen the relation between the countries. Okay. Now I will discuss what are the risks involved in the export market. Again, I am telling one thing, that export is very much important, and by means of export, our country is benefited as well as the individual farms also benefited. But export is a very risky affair, a very risky business, and this risk is only for the exporters. Okay, that means exporters has to take the risk, but the benefit of export is can be obtained both by the government as well as the exporters. So under this situation, exporters may be discouraged. They may say that that we are exporting, and as a result our country is benefited. But risk we have to take. So in order to avoid this situation, our country has announced certain benefits for the exporters. This may be financial as well as non-financial terms, and render certain assistance, financial assistance to the exporters. What are the financial assistance that is rendered to the exporter? I will discuss afterwards in a separate lecture. And in this lecture, I am just going to discuss what are the risks involved in the export market. So let us see. While selling abroad, an exporter may undergo the following type of risk. First one is the credit risk, second one is the currency risk, third one is the carriage risk, and fourth one is the country risk. There are other risks also there, but these are the four major risks that is involved with the export business. Now, there is a risk, and this risk can be also mitigated. Now, in the subsequent sections, I will discuss how the risk can be, what are the nature of this type of risk, why this type of risk arises in export marketing, and how we can mitigate the risk. So let us see credit risk. It is the risk associated with non-getting the payment even after the dispatch of the product. It is generally difficult for an exporter to verify the credit worthiness of an importer. Hence, there is the increased risk of non-payment, late payment, or even straightforward fraud. Now, in the international business, exporter and importer, they are separated by thousands of kilometers. They may not know each other. An exporter cannot verify the credit worthiness of an importer. So under this situation, it is quite possible that the exporter, even after dispatching the product to the importer's country, they may not get their payment. The risk can be mitigated by determining the credit worthiness of the importers before contract. Now, before establishing the contract, exporter will try to understand their customers, and they can do this by taking informations from various sources. And there is export promotion councils as well as the commodity board. They also provide the informations regarding the particular customer to the exporters. But for this purpose, the exporter has to be the member of this commodity board or this export promotion council. This I have discussed in export procedure. Taking payment in advance. I have already told you there are one payment mode, that is advance payment. Advance payment means before dispatch of the goods, exporter will get the full payment, and after getting the full payment, they will dispatch their goods. But this is not a very common practice, and this is only possible if the exporters are in the position to dictate his own terms and conditions in the business. Okay, but this may not be always possible. Okay, but most of the cases, how the exporter ensure to get their payments by payment through irrevocable letter of credit. Now, what is letter of credit and how payment is made through letter of credit, that I have discussed in payment terms. Now, letter of credit may be of two types. One is revocable letter of credit and another one is irrevocable letter of credit. But if the exporter want to ensure the payments, exporter should always stick to irrevocable letter of credit, because in the case of revocable letter of credit, the issuing bank in the foreign countries, they have the right to change the terms and conditions without taking permission of the exporters. But in the case of the irrevocable letter of credit, the terms and conditions cannot be changed without the taking the permission of the exporter. So exporter should always stick to the irrevocable letter of credit, and most of the cases, letter of credit that is opened at the time of international business is irrevocable letter of credit. The revocable letter of credit is very seldom it is used. Now, obtaining appropriate policy from the ECGC. ECGC is a government organization. It is Export Credit and Guarantee Corporation. Now, ECGC, it is the organization which is established by the government of India to cover the credit risk in this respect. That means exporter has to pay a certain nominal premium to this organization, and as a result, they can get a full coverage for this credit risk. That means if exporter does not have any fault, and even then they are not received their payment, then ECGC will ensure the payment. Next is the country and the political risk. Export marketing is subject to high risk arising out of both political and commercial. Political risk involve the government instability, civil wars, disturbance, etc. The commercial risk involve the insolvency of the buyer, protracted default of a part of the buyer, dispute quality, so on. The country risk is also covered by ECGC. Now, what is the meaning of the word country risk? Suppose exporters are sending the product to a country where the government is not very stable. So in this case, the exporter sometimes may not get their payment. And for this purpose, exporter, they don't have any, they cannot be made responsible for them. They cannot be made responsible for not getting their payment. It is basically the fault of the importers that exporters are not getting their payment. Okay, so in this case also ECGC help the exporter to get their payment. But in case exporters are not receive their payment, they will ensure the payment. Now another thing is, maybe the exporter, after dispatching of the goods to their customer, the customer may be become insolvent. They will be a holder. So what does it mean in this case? The customer cannot pay. Okay, so in this case also ECGC will give the appropriate coverage for this type of risk. Third one is the currency risk. You know that this currency risk is very natural in the international business. This is possible loss due to adverse fluctuation in the exchange rate. It is possible to obtain forward cover from the bank authorized to deal in the foreign exchange. Alternatively, the exporter should obtain the export order in Indian rupee, which require prior permission from the RBI. See, this currency risk can be covered by two ways. First one, to obtain the forward cover from the bank, which is authorized to deal with the foreign exchange, you need not to know What is exactly meaning of the word forward cover? Just remember what is that by means of obtaining forward cover from the bank, it is possible to compensate the currency risk. Currency risk means suppose uh, exporter, suppose there is a exporter has uh, entered in contract with the importers and getting their payment in terms of foreign exchange. And in terms of Indian rupee, the value of the foreign exchange is reduced. That means devaluation of the foreign exchange. So in that case, it is the risk of the exporters and they will receive less payment. But if it is in dollar, most of the cases, the foreign exchange received is in terms of dollar or euro. But in both the cases, euro and dollar, this is always in always uh, in a higher side. Okay. But even then, if the exporter wants to mitigate the risk, they can obtain the forward cover, or they can also obtain their payment in terms of Indian rupee. But this is possible if and only if they have obtained prior permission of the RBI, and there are certain terms and conditions based on which Reserve Bank of India will always give, they will provide the permission to the exporters. That means exporter, as per their own wish, they cannot obtain the export payment in terms of Indian rupees. Okay. If they want to obtain payment in Indian rupee, they have to take prior permission from RBI, that is Reserve Bank of India. Next is the carriage risk. Movement of the goods from exporter to importers involve the risk of theft, damage, contamination, seizure, accident, vandalism, breakage, etc. Possible loss of cargo in the transit can be covered by obtaining a marine insurance policy. What I mean to say is that the exporter and importer, they are separated by a wide distance. Okay, exporter has to send the goods to the importers by means of ship or by means of air. Now, during there may be damage of the product because of the transit damage, or there may be other natural calamities also, like tsunami, cyclone, whatever it is. So in that case, the importers may not get the delivery of the product. In that case, importers may say that they will not get delivery of the product, that's why they will not make the payment. So in this case, this risk is known as a carriage risk, and this carriage risk can be covered by taking appropriate marine insurance policy. That means they have to pay certain premium to the marine insurance company, and in such cases, if there is any transit damage or in case of any natural calamities for which neither exporter or importer can be made responsible, the insurance company will make the payment, or they will give the required compensation. Okay, but remember, for this purpose, we have to take obtain the policy covering the risk involved. That means they have to pay the premium, and secondly, marine insurance policy will only be effective if there is no damage at the time of loading. If the damage is observed at the time of loading, for this purpose, exporter cannot claim any coverage from the insurance company. Okay. Now, who will pay the premium for the insurance? It is basically the shipper has to pay the premium. Now, who is a shipper? Again, this will depend upon the input terms. I will discuss this input term afterwards. Shipper may be, that means what I mean to say here is that the premium may be paid by the exporter as well as by the importer. That depends upon the terms of payment, whether it is FOB price, whether it is export price, whether it is CIF price, right? What is the price? Okay, and this meaning of this price like FOB, export, SCIF, these are the known as uh, international commercial terms. In short, these are known as the Incoterms. There are various Incoterms, and depending upon the Incoterms, either the importer has to pay the premium or the exporter has to pay the premium. But whatever it is, what I mean to say in this case, the risk that is involved in transportation of the goods can be covered by obtaining suitable marine insurance policy. Okay, so in this lecture I have discussed what is the importance of export, and here I have seen, here we have discussed the importance from three different angles. One is how a country is benefited. Secondly, how individual firms are benefited by exporting, and there are exporting goods to the other countries. And lastly, I have discussed there are other benefits of the export, right, and cultural exchange, or you can say international collaboration, or strengthening the relationship, etc. Okay, and also I have discussed what are the risks involved, what are the major risks, rather, what are the major risks that is involved in export business, and how the exporters can mitigate the risk. Now, it is clear that because of the export, both the exporters and the country is benefited. But as far as the risk is concerned, it is only the exporter who has to take the risk. Now, in order to encourage the exporters, government is providing various sort of assistance, either financial assistance or assistance in non-financial category. Now, what are the export assistance is given to the exporters by the Indian government that I will discuss in the some of the classes. Okay. So in the next class, I will discuss the export assistance and export finance. Okay. All the best.